Oh, say, can you see the light? What's the problem with shouldn't have turned down those cue cards.
Welcome back to United States of Australia. I am back from vacation. We had a week off, and there's a lot to catch up on. And joining me, my most loyal soldier, it seems, at the moment, is my man, just Josh. He's my friend, and he's yours. Welcome, buddy. Oh, hang on. That click didn't work. Let's try that again. There we go. Welcome, Josh.
Appreciate it, Ozzy. Glad to be back with you.
It's great to have you. And unfortunately, not joining us is, well, we don't know. We hope he's going to join us, but we're going to assume he's not going to be here as Jay Scoop, as usual, in Ukraine. Let's hope he can jump on, but never easy over there getting power. And the other man that's not going to be here is our man, Robbie. And I had a great joke about tit size, considering our guest today, but he's not here for me to do that tit joke. So let's get to the tits. We all know her from WATP, but I think more importantly from Once Over with Kaylee. It is the lovely Kaylee.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming back.
I gotta tell you, your intro gets me every single time. I was like backstage waiting to get Brett on, just laughing my ass off at that. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, that's one I was proud of to think of. Like, I was like, I should just take the Australian national anthem and put Krusty the Clown over it. It's perfect.
It's so good. It's so good.
I love it. Yeah, thanks for coming back. It's great to have you back on. Last time we talked about Chopper Reed and the film Chopper, and this time I noticed the other day you were talking about your passion for heavy metal, and I was like, what do you think about Metallica? And you said, I have my thoughts, and that's all I need to hear. As long as you've got thoughts, that's what I want from somebody. So we are going to talk about Metallica today. Josh, you're a Metallica fan as well,
yes,
correct?
Sir.
And look, I think we're differing ages. I'm not aware of Kaylee's age, and I would not dare to ask her. But I know Josh and I have a bit of an age gap there. So our experiences of when we found Metallica, I think it will be interesting. But of course, Kaylee, I caught you on this little piggy on Friday, I believe it was. So I understand that you are a little bit up to date with what's going on with the toe.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love the toe. I spend way too much of my time thinking about Aaron. Aaron has replaced Stuttering John for me, which is horrible somehow.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, that's when Stuttering John was on a break was when sort of Patrick Melton popped up talking about Steel Toe. And yeah I've been onto it for, basically since Patrick found them. That's when I found Patrick. And so, yeah, it's been a slow turnover for me over the last year and a half. But yeah, certainly over the last few months, he's taken over from Stuttering John for me. And so much so that I was like, I've got to start doing this on my own show because I have my own thoughts. So without further ado, let's get into
Aaron's
it.
boring and April adds nothing. It's going to be great. We're scripting this morning. Come on. It's time for Movie and the Scrimp. It's time for Movie and the Scrimp. It's gonna be mediocre as fuck. It's time for Movie and the Scrimp.
Yes, it is time.
My favorite line is it's gonna be mediocre.
It's mediocre as fuck. Yeah. And I love that because for us, I just assume we're gonna be mediocre as fuck. So it kind of does set up the segment quite beautifully. So yeah, it's been Jay Scoop is here, and it looks like he's cameraless, which is understandable. Welcome, Jay Scoop.
All right, Scoop.
Yo, what's up? Can you hear me okay?
Definitely, you sound awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Are you in a bunker again? Because you sound great.
No. In a moment here, after a couple of these people leave here that can't show their faces, then I will turn my camera on. I'm at my apartment in the capital, so I'm good. And even better, I found a technician to fix my MacBook that was literally like dead. Like I thought that I was screwed. I thought I was thousands in the hole on this freaking thing, and I found a guy, a magician over here to fix it and pull it out. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but it got water damage, and it was. I thought it was done for. So
Hey, don't worry. We just sent like 85 billion more to Ukraine, man. You should
oh, that's why. That's why he gave me a discount.
You got a taste. You got a taste.
And I see another face I recognize from a previous show.
Hello. How are you?
Hey, Kaylee. Good to see you.
It's Miss Tightbox. It's Miss Tightbox.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Very important. Very important. That miss. I've earned the miss.
Very good. Scooper, obviously, yeah, you jumped on because you saw the lovely Kaylee and thought you had to be a part of it. But do you get the opportunity? Obviously, you're in and out of power and Wi-Fi and all that. Do you get the opportunity? We've just jumped into our steel toe segment. Do you get the opportunity to catch up on any of what's going on?
I only catch all of my steel toe news from United States of Australia.
That's excellent.
That's what I like to hear. And 10 other people agree with you at the moment, which is great. But we're going to kick it off just with just another. I just love the bumbling idiot moments from Aaron. And, so this is tangentially the goal. He's got himself a new sponsor. And he's been told, obviously, that just like the firearms thing, which we'll get into later, advertising nicotine is not generally something you tube into either. And people let him know about it, and he wasn't too pleased about it.
So that, no reading the chat and no vaping during the show, because that's weird too. Like you're just sitting there, you're talking about something, and just that vape looks so fucking gay, by the way.
Gay is the highest insult for him, which I just think is fantastic. Everything's gay. If he doesn't like it, it's gay. Now, I have a vape right here, and it's medically prescribed because it has to be in Australia. We live in a police state, but I do use it. I don't know if you guys notice where I've dragged on the vape. I mean, I do have the big windscreen in front of me to kind of cover it, but I think he's maybe fractionally exaggerating how people draw on their vapes on the stream. But I don't know. It does do you get the sense, Kaylee, this is a hurt man that he's found out he's fucked up again?
He's so stupid. Also, I've never thought that vaping looked gay until I just watched him suck his cheeks all the way into his mouth.
Like, who does that?
My good sir, that is how you suck a dick, not a vape. Like, that was not a good example. I did not enjoy watching that.
Very good. It's a great point. But so, yeah, obviously he's lashing out. He's also, and this will be a common theme throughout the show as well, lashing out a little bit at his buddy Johnny Crutches, who he's been taking shots at and digs at. Johnny obviously vapes on his show. I'm not sure if he vapes on Aaron's show, but he vapes on his own show. So these are more digs at Johnny Crutches as well.
Edibles are out there. There's so many other options. Pill form. What are you sucking on the vape thing for? And I've done the vape pens. They're whatever, but it looks gay. Aaron trying to sell more shit he hates to sell. No. I love Benny and I love his shop.
Someone reminds him that you wanted this guy to be a sponsor. You're shitting all over his product and calling it all completely gay.
I wish Robbie was here right now, because when he said he does the vape pens, it makes me think of when Robbie said he did weed or something.
Yeah.
He worded it in this weird way.
Do weed.
I do weed. I do vape pens.
Weed does me.
But also, it sounds like he's only lashing out at people that do weed vapes, because he said there's edibles. Like, I mean, I know there's like chewing tobacco and shit, but like, I'm using a nicotine vape because I need to quit cigarettes, and that's 2 weeks straight, by the way, without a cigarette. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, trying to wean my way off. It's there's vapes of all kinds. Yes, some people vape weed, but a lot of people vape nicotine. So I don't know about the edible nicotine. I don't know. I'd be into that. Other than those, I guess they've got those mouth drops or whatever. But, yeah.
Well, you could just snort it. You can do. I mean,
Yeah.
inject it right into your veins. All of those things are fine according to Steel Toe.
Yes.
Do the kind shoot it up your butt there,
Yeah.
Ozzy. Maybe.
I'm sorry, Aaron.
Yeah.
This is so fucking gay.
Oh yeah, look at that.
You
I've never
love
been
men.
more turned on.
I didn't know you loved men until that moment.
Yeah. What flavor is it?
Sunset sherbet.
Oh.
Okay, the flavors title might be gay.
Yeah, that's.
I don't come up with this shit, but the best one I found, I was with Justin, and
It was the gayest one. Yeah.
It was the gayest one, but it was called Trucker's Daughter.
Oh.
So I'm fairly certain the guys that are vaping the THC are the ones that are in charge of naming these products.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
Trucker's Daughter.
Yeah. Trucker's Daughter. The guy was like, I think I want to try that one.
Don't we all want to try a Trucker's Daughter?
But look, Benny's been a friend of mine for a long time. I don't like it on stream. I don't like it when you're doing a show. I think it's really unprofessional to be sitting there going while you're on stream. And also, quit trying to take big rips off you. Nobody's impressed. Nobody.
All right, so that's I just love him immediately shitting on something he's supposed to be selling as a product for everyone to use. Like,
why would you take a sponsorship if you don't like the product? Like, you have to sell it, and you have to sell it every single second. Like, Carl is, I hate to give Carl compliments, but Carl from WATP, he understands marketing, and he believes in the products that he is doing. And so he's not shitting on them on the back end. Like, that, it's so stupid. Like, I would never, ever, ever buy a vape that Aaron sponsored. Like,
right.
Well, is he going PayPal, Venmo, and Benny's Vapes now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I also wonder how he, like, did he just say, "Oh, here's a sponsor, I'm taking it no matter what, regardless"? So
yes.
or is he okay? Because like one of my favorite people, I don't know if you've ever watched stuff with Shaquille O'Neal, like behind the scenes, but like for him, you see him on so many things, but he does not choose anything unless he 100% likes it, uses it, any of that stuff, and it gave me more respect to watch how he chooses what he works with behind the scenes. But a lot of people, especially if it's their first sponsor or two, there's going to be whatever, I'll take,
So
maybe they hate Trump and it'll be a thing for Trump, right? They're like, fuck it, I don't care, or Kamala Harris, they don't like her. Oh, but they're going to pay me money? I love her.
Yeah.
You think Shaq has general insurance?
No, the General's one of his main ones. I
figured it was
100% stands behind them. I remember watching him filming some kind of thing behind the scenes about the General in particular. So yeah, cool. He actually does back them 100.
Look, I could see myself like at this stage where our podcast is at, like Joe Feeney from the Creative Control Network, who handles the podcast side of our show. If he came to me and said, "We've got this sponsor, can you read a few ads?" I'm sure whatever it is, I'd take it, because any money that we can use to put back into the show, blah, 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 absolutely. But there's a difference between those things that are just generic across podcasts to actually finding somebody that that you're going to sponsor their thing. Like, it should be a both-way transaction. For him, it's just the money you're giving me. Where he's showing no respect to a guy that he calls his friend by immediately shitting on the product. Like, that's the standout about this guy, is like just how garbage he is to everybody in his life. He's always thinking about himself, nobody else.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that would be the equivalent of me going into a restaurant that I hate and being like, "Hey, will you sponsor me?" And then shitting on them and being like, "Oh God, their food is horrible."
Yeah. Anybody goes there is gay.
Yeah.
The gayest people.
My favorite thing about this guy, though, is like I mean, he should be making so much money because you could slide him into any B movie action, bad guy, like, role. Like, he's totally that guy, right? The one that's like, oh, all of a sudden, here's the hero. Oh, you know what? I'm going to kill his whole family. Yeah. Like while he's in the middle of snorting some coke.
He's a good B villain.
Yes.
It's funny you say that. Back when we had, and I think it's still our highest viewed episode, when we had the girls from Pretty Antisocial on, we have movie night on Saturday night with the kids, and the kids choose the movie. And I actually thought that Aaron is actually the classic antagonist in a kids movie because he's such a dork and a bumbling idiot that, like, he's got all these sinister thoughts in mind, but he's incapable of achieving it. And that's why a chipmunks can outfoil him, or, whoever it may be, that's what I think he is. He's a kids movie villain.
Yeah.
He's not even good enough for the adult style villains.
Yeah, exactly.
The next one, guy. He couldn't have a punch in the face from Steven Seagal. That would be above him.
He can get a punch in the face from a 16-year-old boy beating the shit out of him in a boxing ring, though.
And everyone was very happy about that.
Oh, I'm sure.
But so that was very funny on the Bubba Show. Something that wasn't funny today, and I got to thank somebody on Twitter for getting me the dirt on this. I'm not.
All right, so I completely forgot what this gets to something that I want to talk about, but there is some more to it. So this is where we get to the gun sponsorship. So it's against YouTube terms of service to sponsor anybody that sells guns or ammunition, blah, blah, blah. So every time Aaron reads an ad read for Midland Armory, he's breaking YouTube's terms of service. And somebody reported him. So I believe that's what this discussion is. But then they get more into a bit more legal talk, and I just find it amusing what Aaron has to explain.
I'm not going to say who it was. There was a guy in NLO's Discord, which, if you guys didn't know this, Nobody Likes Onions is apparently a SJW, like, cancel culture, anti-free speech type of community.
All right.
Because this guy called Serial Killer, the reason our morning show today is only available on Rumble and Facebook, and Kick, our Kick is back up and running, by the way. So we got Kick, Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube.
Fuck yeah, Kick.
YouTube. The reason that it's down is the guy called Serial Killer with a C. Cereal, like the food.
Yeah.
A guy, and I have screenshots. A guy named
fat because he kills all the cereal.
Dude, he's on Discord.
Yeah.
He's probably fat and gay.
Fat and gay, of course. He's got to be gay as well. Everybody on Discord is gay, and they're also extremely fat. But they're also incels, so I don't know how you know if they're gay or not. But it's all very, very confusing. But if you're on Discord, you're evil. Reddit, you're pretty evil as well. Kiwi Farms, tops. You good people on Kiwi Farms. A few weeks back, I read the Wikipedia descriptions of those 3 websites, and only one of them is referred to as a doxing website that has driven people to suicide. But anyway, we'll continue.
So he goes on and he's bragging about how he reported us and got our episode taken down today because of some community guideline stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, well, that's really interesting.
I can add to that.
Well, I know, but we're not going to go any further than that.
All right, the key point here. Aaron's not sure where Matt's going. Aaron's worried that he's going to point out the actual community guideline that he was not following, because Aaron needs to be the victim, so we don't need to point out what he was doing that is completely his own fault. Now, I don't agree with reporting channels. Don't report channels. That's dumb. That's silly. But Aaron, you're the only person that's responsible for you breaking the community guidelines, and you do it blatantly over and over and over again. So he had to stop Matt there from adding any more. But by the way, Matt is useless. Go, Kaylee.
Oh, I was going to say, nobody's allowed to change Aaron's narrative. Aaron's narrative is Aaron's narrative is Aaron's narrative. If this is gay, then it's gay. If this is the conversation that we're having, then this is the conversation that we're having. If this is what the goal is, then this is what the goal is. If we're going to start rolling over the money from the morning shows into the evening shows so that those meet the goal, if we're going to include the sponsor money because those are going to help meet the goal, like anything that he wants to do, it's just Aaron's rules all the time. And I hate that so much. If you want to talk about things that make you gay, like you are such a little prick. I hate it so much. It's so inappropriate. He refuses to listen to anybody else at any time.
Yeah, and there's some of this stuff where, and this happens with Stuttering John, where you go, it's so mind-boggling that you can't see what's so obviously in front of your face. Like, this has to be a bit.
Yeah.
And then it keeps happening, and you're like, it can't. How can it be a bit? Like, he keeps doing it. Like, surely you should realize that. Yeah.
I think Stuttering John fakes it a fair amount. I think we can all agree on that. I think Aaron is sincerely Aaron, and that's terrifying.
And I was almost going to call this episode self-awareness, because there is some stuff coming up where I think it's the key ingredient. I think the most important ingredient to a lolcow is self-awareness and complete lack of understanding of who you are. That's the only way you can become a lolcow, and Aaron has that in spades. It's phenomenal, the projection that he dishes out on a daily basis. But let's continue.
Oh no,
I know the
person.
way. You know, the human being.
No. There's a second one that was also doing the same thing this person did.
Oh, fun, cool. Who?
Yeah, it's someone on Reddit.
Oh, really?
You want me to drop a name?
Drop a name.
Girl Friday.
Who's Girl Friday?
Exactly. I mean, you want me to drop a name, drop a fucking Reddit handle? Great. That gets us nowhere closer to who this person is. But this person apparently, well, I'll let Matt explain. Hang on.
Some paralegal on Reddit who, by the way, thinks you're a felon and you're going to prison for years.
What?
Yeah.
No, am I really?
Yes, you are.
Oh my.
Are you Girl Friday, Kaylee?
No, I am not. That's a good question, though.
I pay attention.
I do think that he is going to jail. I do.
I agree.
I think
he looks like he's ready to go to jail right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that face.
He's getting prepared for all the gay stuff.
Exactly.
I think there's no way. I think he's probably going to serve like 60 to 90 days.
You think 60? I was thinking 30 days.
Yeah, everybody seems to be agreeing with 30. I think 30 is what's currently on the table, but I just don't think that there's any way in hell that he doesn't fuck something up bad enough that they slap him with a.
He'll do something stupid.
And I don't know a lot about the criminal justice system, so I will say that I could be totally wrong about that. But I think that he is so egregious at this point that the courts might make an example out of him for the hundreds of people that watch him.
I think, I think you're right. And I think part of it is how brazen he is on his show. And, call it a comedy show or whatever. If you're disrespecting the court so openly and publicly, they're not going to take that kindly. And so when it comes to, should we give him 30, 60 or 90? Yeah, maybe that judge will go, you know what? You've been so disrespectful. You can have 90 days and sit there and fucking think about it. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't surprise me. I listen to a lot of true crime stuff, and it all comes down to that judge and their thought process, and whatever information they have in front of them could very well affect them poorly. But anyway, Girl Friday is a paralegal. I've read some of her posts, if it is a her. And yeah, had some interesting points, but purely just speculation, like we all do. We speculate. It said they're a paralegal, so not a lawyer in any way, shape, or form. Just saying, hey, I work around lawyers and I've heard a lot of this stuff, and I have to read through a lot of case law, whatever it may happen to be. Yeah, this is my thoughts on it. I've got my thoughts on it from just watching Law and Order and listening to true crime podcasts. There's little things that you pick up. So yeah, we all speculating. This dramatics of being like, they're all saying you're going to jail. No, we're all just going, well, you keep fucking up, dude. And these are the things that, like, this is case law. These are things that have happened in the past. This could happen to you. He's not getting it. And just like Stuttering John, he is a phenomenal pause. You can do the drop the needle, I think,
anywhere
sometimes, and he gets a phenomenal screenshots. Everybody get a screenshot right now. That's a cracker.
God, I'd better say my goodbyes to everybody.
Oh yeah, no, someone's been ranting on. I get this bits and pieces from someone else who reads this shit and has fun with it because it's the internet and it's all fake.
All these people get bits and pieces from other people. Just say you fucking read it. Like, You know what I mean? It's no big deal that you went to Reddit to read this shit that's being said about you guys. Like, it's fine. Just admit it. Like, why do you get pieced together a puzzle from 15 other people?
Yeah.
Gay. But yeah, no, there's a thing on Reddit too. There's gay ops going on, and Girl Friday, who's a paralegal, who is convinced that along with the rest of Reddit, you have your supervised visitation.
Right.
But yet I'm confused because supervised visitation, by the way, you exchange your children at the Becker Police Department.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like, well,
But how is it supervised?
yeah.
Because then you leave with your children. So none of
Right.
this shit makes sense.
Well,
Great stuff, Matt. Like, he's just a wordsmith. You know, he really expresses a point, and Aaron is so fucking confused right now as to what Matt's talking about, but he is about to go into defending the supervised visitation accusations, which, again, it's just people like Patrick Melton and that just throwing darts and going, let's see if this winds him up. And of course it does. It winds him up when we get nice little clips like this.
this weekend, it's just a convenient place to meet. It's right off the main drag there.
Okay.
Can you imagine the police station being a convenient place to meet?
So centrally located.
Yeah.
All
Maybe
the
they just-
privacy in the world.
Maybe they assumed there would be a Dunkin' Donuts next door or
Yeah.
something.
Yes.
Literally, it's the only thing on that road. There's literally nowhere else to pull off. We have to go to the police station. Court order, dickhead. Come on. Like, we're not stupid.
This weekend, we're meeting at Lake George.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to do that. Tomorrow, just going to pick him up from school
Yeah.
straight up. So
Weird how the internet works.
I
isn't
tell
it?
you, I'm really hopping around those supervised visits. I'm like, Mrs. Sellner, come this way now. No, we're going here today.
It's so super.
All right. So, do you know where I drop my kids off with my wife? In the house I live in with my wife.
It's like, what happened to the marriage since I last talked to you?
Yeah.
I was like, what? You were just together. What happened?
I've just come back from vacation. 10 straight days, 24 hours a day. I was within a mid-range jump shot of my kids at all times. For them, actually, probably 75% of that time, I could probably dunk it. It was that close that I spent. I would challenge Aaron to tell me at any time of his kids' lives has he spent that much time with his kids, because I think this man is a horrible father that is putting his kids in a shitty position by not shutting his fucking mouth. And yeah, I think those kids don't want to hang around him. And the supervised visitation thing is a reasonable thing to suggest, given that he could be arrested at any time, given he has a suspended jail term. Go to you first, Kaylee. What are your thoughts on perhaps his ex-wife is putting restrictions on the kids?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. And I think that you just hit the nail on the head. I think it's that the kids don't want to spend time with him. Having a father like this sounds like hell. And not only does it sound like hell right now, but in 10 years, all of this stuff will have fizzled, we'll still have, and people will be making on YouTube or whatever the new service is 10 years from now. People will be making little mini documentaries about this whole situation. So even if the kids aren't watching it now, the kids are gonna see this and they're gonna know everything. And they're gonna know that he aired all of the family's dirty laundry to everybody. And that as a kid is the most embarrassing thing. I had a situation where my father was there was like a mildly public, like a locally public news article about my dad. And I was so embarrassed. It's like one of those moments where you're like, oh my God, this is my life. And now people know about it. And it's the same thing but he's the one doing it. Like it's horrible. He's a horrible father. I'm so lucky. I hit the jackpot by not being born to this idiot. Like we all did. He's got to be one of the worst.
No, because immediately, as soon as like the arrest and stuff happened, for the first time in years, he started putting particularly his oldest daughter, but both of all of his kids out there to rub it in Nick Recada's face. Like, oh, look. And that's why I'm kind of rubbing it in his face. They're like, hey, dude, I literally was barely apart from my kids for the last 10 days. Like, spend the entire time with them. That was so much fun. It was such a great vacation. Like the kids experiencing new things, seeing these like thousands-year-old Aboriginal art and shit, enjoying that with your kids is phenomenal. This guy, it's got to be a presentation for the internet. The internet has to know that I'm hanging out with my kids, as opposed to just hang out with your kids. Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Anybody else got any thoughts before I replay?
I agree with Kaylee on that. As far as the kids, there's nothing worse, I guess you could do, is to embarrass your kids with some of your own dumb shit that has nothing to do with them. And as a kid going to school, other kids are going to pick up on this shit. Somebody's going to watch this. And I mean, it's ammo all day long. I mean, that's a horrible job by him as a father, for sure. If you want to embarrass your kids, you do that on your own terms. Not with that crazy. Not with that shit.
I immediately sympathize with the kids having a flashback to, like my parents split up when I was 11, and again, I'm from the Bay Area, and one lived on the other part of the Bay than the other. So I used to every other weekend have to take the BART train 30 minutes. And I just remember sitting there that 30 minutes, just dreading, I got to go do this. It was like I was doing time, and it wasn't, it was because the one parent obviously sucked more than the other, but I can't imagine adding on top of it being somebody like this guy who's also, like projecting himself out there. And, like I can't imagine adding that. Maybe my peers or other people that are going to be around me are watching my parent, online acting like a tool, and then they get to come to me. It was just bad enough for me to just have it directly between me and the parent. It's sucking,
Yeah, everyone. Yeah,
I just realized also, it just going off of that, like other parents surely have watched him. If I was a parent, I would be like, you're not allowed to hang out with those kids anymore.
Right, you're not hanging out with them.
I would be like, you're not going over there. And like, that's also embarrassing, is like, maybe these kids are losing friendships over this. Like, that's awful.
Like, but Timmy's my best friend. Yes, but Timmy's dad is a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
My apologies for this one, Kaylee. But I want to address, things going on. Lucy has no idea what she's talking about. Listening shit on Piggles podcast doesn't make you a specialist. The worst father of 2024 is going to swinger Nick Recader, you clowns. See, this is where you're the dummy. This isn't sports. We're not cheering on a team. They're both shitty fathers. Yes. I'm not talking about Nick Recader. I'm talking about Aaron Imholt. This isn't, we're not voting on an election. I'm just talking about this shitty father that I find more entertaining than Nick Recader. I find Nick Recader boring. Personally, I don't give a shit. But yeah, he's a shitty father. He had cocaine in his house with his children and fucking letting Aaron Imholt fuck his wife, apparently. I mean, we've only heard that from Aaron Imholt. So, I'll take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, Nick Recader is a fucking idiot and a moron. But I'm not talking about Nick Recader. Let's continue.
You get to pick your children up and then drive them somewhere without supervision to go be supervised.
It was really awkward when she followed.
Matt, Matt makes Josh seem like Johnny Carson. Like he's such a useless addition to, like, he just can't spit the words out and give a proper explanation of what he's talking about.
Followed us to Shields this weekend. That would get strange.
Yeah.
Like my daughter's trying to get a volleyball and I'm picking up some golf balls. Do you really need to be here?
There's a bunch of gay apps going on.
Yeah. So they're, I guess, jealous. Here's the problem with the Reddit and the Discord people.
Yeah.
The whole plan was for me to be dead by now.
Yeah, it was.
And I've always said, and I was right, and I think this bothers them, as long as I just hit go live, it's over.
Right.
And so you see how many people, like, in my life they try to go after, including my ex-wife. They ran her off the internet.
All right. So for months and months, it was leave my wife alone, leave my wife alone. Then it was attack because she left him. So then it was attack. She's a co-core, blah, blah, blah. Now we're back around again. He's playing his victim card again, where now the internet ran April off, not like him screaming in her face. But his own words, by the way, they were arguing and he got nose to nose with her. I want to keep reminding everyone of that. He admitted to getting nose to nose with his wife, who was significantly smaller than him. That is abuse in itself. But anyway, I just want to keep reminding everyone.
Looks like he's hurling off the screen from the dude's take right now. He's just like, I can't take it anymore. And like you said, Ozzy, you're like this guy. His guest, what's his name again? The guest,
Matt.
Matt is the moron to the right.
Matt, yes, he's such a moron, and like you were saying before, he makes everybody else seem like a genius. And I'm kind of thinking, is this that thing where it's the hot girl makes sure there's always like the very inferior girl walking around with her, so that it makes her stand out better?
It 100% is. It is having garbage next to you that'll just laugh at what you say. Because I'm going to go a little bit arrogant here, but so if you take away the goal and Aaron's legal stuff, and that encompasses Nick Recator and Ashley LaRue and April and Dota, but you take away those two things, the only thing anybody has talked about with Aaron in the last few months is his confrontation with me, where someone pushed back at him. Like, people talked about that. They weren't talking about the Nick Recator stuff and the goal and that. They were talking about how we had this back and forth. And at no point in his mind did it click to be like, hey, maybe I should have someone that I could go back and forth with on a show rather than just a lapdog to agree with me. You know what I mean? Like, none of that ever. He thinks he's the Anthony Cumia, and he doesn't realize he's the Opie and he needs to find an Anthony Cumia. Whereas he thinks he needs an Opie or someone else to just sit there and laugh along. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Kaylee?
I think that is exactly what it is. He is the Opie. He is, and you also brought up a good point that, if you take away him talking about all the lawsuit stuff, if you take away talking about the goal, what else is he talking about? He doesn't talk about anything else. He spent like 2 minutes saying that like, him and SP were going to go play golf the other day. And he was like, oh, it turns out you can get a bucket of golf balls for only $10. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, where is it? That's not a podcast, my dude. That's not even radio. Like, and it's Aaron's ultimate goal to just be back on radio. And it's so boring. Like, there's not a show.
No, agreed. Flat Cat Jessica just said Opie was not awful like Toe, which agreed. Opie, I once said Aaron is Opie if he never found Anthony, but that is disrespectful to Opie. Like, and a lot of people do take away from what Opie was for Opie and Anthony. Anthony couldn't have done that on his own.
Yeah.
And the facts are, since the Opie and Anthony show broke up, none of those guys have been as successful. So to say that Opie wasn't important is disrespectful. He was very important.
I think you mean more of the Opie nowadays.
Agree. Opie nowadays is the worst of all of them. And he was always like the least talented, but they needed that confrontational guy in the room.
Yeah.
They needed sort of his leadership, him taking control. Like, it was an important part of the team, as much as they like got frustrated with him and hated him for it. It's never worked since. Like, none of those guys have been able to produce anything. So, give Opie his due. We'll just see this clip out and then we will move on to the next.
Oh, Curse Spirit. They go after other people around my life. They're like, we can't get to him. And it's frustrating them. So they go, we're going to become the biggest SJW cancel culture cucks we can. I do this to people.
Whoa! Can this man use the word cuck ever again as an insult to anybody? That's not.
Nope.
No. A man took your wife. He just took her. You took her to his house, and then he took her from you. You cannot call anyone else a cuck, man. They can't. It's not. Just like how you say Patrick can't call people fat, you can't call people cucks.
When
He
you look
probably
up, when you look,
calling people gay then either.
That's also true. Those fucking wrists. Oh,
well, when you look up cuck, there's Aaron's picture right there.
Yeah.
yeah. His fucking mugshot is perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I
Perfect
can't
fucking
get
creepy
over,
cuck.
I can't get over his horrible mile run time on the back there. To me, it says on pace for 31 minutes, I assume. So that's how long it takes him to run. Because he's covering the rest of it. That's what I'm reading. That's important information for me to know how in shape he is.
Like I did this to Nick. We're going to sell out every part of ourselves. We're going to debase ourselves fully, look worse than Aaron will ever look, just so we can try to get to this guy. And I got to tell you, it's an honor. I made you.
Wait, are we talking about Girl Friday? Girl Friday has debased herself so badly to look worse than Aaron Himmolt. Like these faceless, nameless people on the internet are making themselves look worse than you, who currently has a felony charge that you're fighting. You have a 90-day jail term suspended for 12 months, which you're only about, 20 odd days into that, maybe 30 something days into that. You've still got 330 days to go without breaking any laws. Like, I don't know if anyone's debased themselves more than you, Aaron.
Listen to me. I made you all do gay ops.
You
Dude.
gave them a purpose in their life.
But dude, I'm so good at this and so much better than you. I made you do gay ops.
Wouldn't the gayest
gay ops?
Yeah, I don't know. This comes from internet, like all of this garbage between different podcasters feuding and that. Like gay ops is when you do like the doxing and go into people's personal lives and all that. Wouldn't the gayest of gay ops be talking to the cops about what your friends are up to, what fellow YouTubers are up to, and also there's a little thing called spousal privilege. When April got arrested, he can no way be forced to testify against her or say anything against her. He waived that and said, "Nah, fuck her." Like, isn't that the gayest of gay ops?
I would say so.
Awful.
That's part of being married. That's one of the perks.
Like, even if you're like really upset with them, shouldn't you at least pay them the gratitude of not selling them out to the cops? Like, wouldn't that be fair? Chris Mack has got a little bit of an explanation for us. Gay ops include doxing, sharing screenshots of private conversations, swatting, and things like that. Yeah. That's
Says the guy dressed up like somebody's gonna do a SWAT.
This is rough, man. Why did he make me do gay stuff? Jesus. Gay ops will happen during Aaron's 30-day sentences. Oh, God damn it. It's moving. He's the Richard Simmons of gay ops. Now, I made a Richard Simmons reference during What's Your Randall earlier on Echo Pineapple's channel. Go to youtube.com and go Echo Pineapple and put a 3 where the last E should be. Anyway, and I wasn't sure if I had the name right, but yeah, Richard Simmons is the super flamboyant fitness guy.
The meal and deal guy, all that shit.
Yeah. So 2 Richard Simmons references on each of my podcasts tonight is, I think, fantastic. Anyway, I think...
Shout out, Robbie.
It doesn't look like there's much left on this, but I think, yes. I think
that's pretty bad on your part. Yeah. So it's kind of nice. Thank you to the people on Twitter who did the investigating on that one. Like I said, I've got moles inside of everywhere, and it's just fun to use them.
Yeah.
$2.
Yes. That's why I left that last little bit. Just, I've got moles inside of everywhere. You idiot.
he's just stuttering John. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm the hero, I'm the victim. Also, everybody's telling me everything, and I'm great.
Yes.
You're
indeed.
not.
No, he's very, very, very delusional, lacking the self awareness. Like I said earlier, that's the key to a lolcow. They have to lack self awareness. That's why when I'm a fan of Patrick Melton, and he does seem to be self aware. And when people talk about how Red Bar destroyed him and all that, I'm like, maybe he was a different guy back then, but I don't know. Like he seems to know what's going on. But yeah, Aaron just seems to be one of the more clueless as to how damaging what he has to say is doing to himself, or it's just a thing of he'll just take it because he knows that he's got these certain amount of people hooked, and maybe he can keep milking them. I don't know. Josh, have you got any theories on like how he thinks he can keep going with his begging thing?
Okay, now I don't know how he can personally go on dealing with the begging thing, but I will tell you, I believe the steel toe for us has started to consume so much that I'm going to share this with you that at some point this week, I don't remember what night it was, I woke up from a dream.
Oh, no.
Aaron M. Holt was flipping me off from outside his window where I assumed he was doing his show from, but I was picking up his billfolds that were lost in the yard with like money and shit, and I was pulling the cash out of it saying, is this the goal? Is this my goal? And I'm like,
Jesus.
I've been watching too many clips. Shout out Stalin 19, so thorough Joe Burrow. But I mean, I don't see how he keeps it going. I mean, you can see he's a defeated man right now. Like, it's just, it's sad. It's pathetic. Get a fucking job.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and like
support your family.
Yes, Kelly. Obviously, I know you have a job, but people like Carl and Melton and I'm forgetting some of the others, but I mean, obviously Rocco. We know Rocco has a job, but these guys that they do it, and they could make a living. Where either they do or they could make a living from their podcast, but it's not the only thing they've got going on. You know, like. Your podcast could be successful, but don't make that the only thing you've got going on. Obviously, Kaylee, you've got a Patreon and all that, but yeah, like you've got focus in other directions, right?
You cannot rely on this because, we do live in the age of people getting canceled on the internet. And, there's so many people who are so talented out there. I never think that I'm going to be the best at anything. I would love to be, but I don't think I'm ever going to be. I think that there's tons and tons and tons of other people who do movie reviews in incredible ways. So I have amazing amounts of competition. And that's great. I love that because it pushes me further. But it also means that I'm never going to rest on the possibility that this is the only monetary resource for me. This is something that I love doing. You can't do podcasting if you don't love it. And it never seems like Aaron loves it. It seems like he is doing it because he needs money. That is the wrong reason to podcast. That is not why you turn the camera on in the morning. It should never be the reason that you turn the camera on.
No, 100%. And there was a clip earlier this week, and I could not be bothered trying to find it, but I just happened to be, I think it was when Melton was stream sniping Steel Toe the other day and not transforming it at all. It's just, we all sit there in the chat and just make our jokes about Aaron. And so Deadfall got gifted a membership. Now, for those of you that don't know, I assume people in the chat would know, but I know Scoop and Josh, you wouldn't know. Deadfall is linked to a man named David Chandler, who is a very successful rich man who is very kind to podcasts and helps them out and gives big donations to pick podcasts up and help them help them get to the next level and all that. And he's given a lot of money to Steel Toe. So Aaron got gifted a bunch of memberships. He saw Deadfall got one and started fawning over Deadfall for the next 30 seconds. It was like, Deadfall didn't give you any money. There was another guy that gave you money. You didn't talk about him at all. You just got excited to see Deadfall, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll get some money from Deadfall. Like, that to me is so gross. Like, I forgot to shout out Big Greg in Iowa gave a donation after the show went off the air last week, and he actually doubled what Skeety Tooth John had given, and that was an amazing thing for me. The night before I went on vacation, got these 2 great donations. So yeah, Skeety Tooth and Big Greg in Iowa. That was like awesome. That was such an awesome moment. And like, I couldn't be more thankful to them doing that. Just because they're like, oh yeah, hey, fucking, we've enjoyed the show. Here's some money. Like, the
Big
demand
Greg was a busy guy because he also gave me a donation pretty quick after one of our recent shows. I don't remember if it was right after last time we spoke or what, but I think the timing must have been exactly the same. I don't know if we caught him at a generous moment or
he
what.
just done his
But,
taxes or something. Or, yeah,
he hit a scratcher, man. He hit a scratcher.
Yeah, whatever it was much appreciated. So I'm really happy to know that it wasn't just my cause that he was helping out. That he was helping out on multiple things.
But it would be insane to think you guys need to do that every day or do that every week.
Yeah. Oh my God.
A week. Like, can you imagine if I sat here and went, look, Skeety Tooth's here. Look, hey, Skeety Tooth, thank you so much. Love your show. Where's the 50 that you gave me last week? Give it to me again, you bitch. All right. Like, that's the last comment that's going up on the screen until you send me for nub. Of course, that's insane. That's insane behavior.
Can you imagine how long I stay over here in Ukraine? Like, I've been here over a year now. If it was dependent on donations, I would have been over here like 2 days. Like, I would have been gone so fast. So I can't imagine. I don't know. Maybe it's easier for people who have a background in sales. I don't know. That's not me. Which is horrible also for me being a singer, not being able to be like pimp your own, music like a salesman, can. But I can't imagine trying to be dependent on it. I would want it to be a passion. And then if I could make something off of it, cool. And you can definitely see that with our young lady here, that she has a passion behind what she does, not just trying to chase money.
Oh,
no, exactly.
Money.
Yes, it definitely is. No, you're exactly right, and we will get into talking about what you do, Kaylee. But we did put in the header that we're going to talk Metallica. So yeah, Steel Toe's done. We're done with steel. We're moving on to metal. I heard Kaylee mention the other day that she loves her metal, and so I sent her a message to say. I said, what do you think of Metallica? And she's like, I got my thoughts, love their early stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, great, let's talk about Metallica, because Metallica is the be all and end all for me personally. And my passion has been reignited in recent times by some YouTube videos I've been watching and all that. So we'll start off, Kaylee, being the guest. I want to ask you, like, what was your introduction point to Metallica? Do you remember specifically what the song was, or the album, or anything like that?
So I know I had a weird introduction to Metallica. I was trying to think about this. I started listening to death metal before I started listening to Metallica. So I had gotten super into like Deicide, Cannibal Corpse, Immolation, like all of that sort of stuff. And I had never heard Metallica. And I had started meeting all of these other metalheads because I would go out to concerts and I was all excited and, everything was great. And I remember that I was in a car with somebody and they were playing Metallica and somebody was like, oh yeah, this is Metallica. And I was like, oh, this is the band that I'm supposed to know about. Like I had read about them in the magazines. I was aware that they existed, but I just had never actually heard them. And I wasn't a big radio listener, so I don't think I ever even caught any of the stuff that was like on the Black Album or anything like that on the radio. Like I never actually heard any of it. And so I remember after that moment that I was like, oh no, I need to actually go out and buy Metallica CDs and listen to this because I am screwed if I don't understand this. And I was very happy because I went out and bought all of their CDs at that point. This was probably in like maybe 1999, 1998, 1999.
All right, yeah. So you got all the way up to Reload.
Yeah. And then I was so glad that I did that because when all of the Napster stuff happened in the early 2000s, I had not downloaded any Metallica, and I was like, "Yay! I'm not going to jail."
You know what sucks about that? I got dinged on the Napster thing because a friend, when that song I don't even think it was that. It was the Kid Rock when they sampled Metallica. That's what it was. Someone sent it to me and it uploaded to my Napster, and then I got my Napster taken down because I had a Metallica song, and it wasn't even a Metallica song. It was a Metallica sample. But yeah, I was fuming because I'd gone out of my way to not download Metallica shit. So yeah.
So I went through when I bought all of their albums. I don't remember what song it was that I was listening to in that car ride, but I am a completionist. I like to listen to albums start to finish. So I started right at the beginning and went all the way through and just listened to all of the albums. I was playing guitar at the time, so I used to like try to play along with all the different songs at the end of the day, and I thought it was really cool, and I was not cool at all, but I loved it. And I really, really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that they did. And it was a brand new type of music for me because I was so used to those guttural double bass, like all of the death metal tropes. I had really never heard anything like Metallica before.
Yeah,
So
it is.
I was just gonna say I have like the ultimate Metallica fail story, and because of your background and what you just said, I'm curious what you will think about this because as most people know, I do singing, but my background from when I was growing up was totally not what I ended up singing. You know, like it was on the R&B side and rap and all this, and then grunge. And then finally later on when I started singing, you know, it was like hard rock, metal, you know, I'm kind of drifting along those lines. And anyways, the one time I was ever kicked out of a band, it was because of something I said about Metallica. And what I said was, and I was just innocently, I was like, I don't know if you call it an observation or what, but we were talking about metal. And to me, when I think metal, like I think just like the hardest shit, you know? And I felt like over time when death metal really was become death metal, I was like, whoa, you know, that like changed the curve a bit. Now, a lot of the people who said they were metal before, it just feels kind of more like it's hard rock, you know, like it is metal, but it's like light metal. You know, what do you call this? And so I made a comment about that about Metallica and one of my bandmates was like the ultimate Metallica fan. I was like, are they still considered like metal now, or what? Yeah, this guy's got to go. And I was immediately I was brand new. It was a formed band where they were only looking. It wasn't like we formed like slowly or in piece by piece. They were already together, needed a singer. I was brand new, and I made this ultimate fatality, comment. But it wasn't like I was trying to be mean. I was just saying, like, to me, I thought like me growing up, metal was like there was no death metal. Like Metallica, what they do was like the hardest. But then they took it to another level, and I was like, well, what does that mean for the rest of them? So I was just making a comment, but I made the wrong comment to the wrong person.
It's understandable, and especially I think Metallica did go more the way of hard rock through the 90s and was less metal. But I think for me, it's always been about the music for Metallica. Like, and a song we're going to listen to later on, and that's not going to be on the live show, but they got criticism for the way they went on their second album. These guys are like 20 years old, 21 years old, and writing a song like Fade to Black like is such a beautiful song, and it blows people away that are like just have this thought about metal music, and then they hear Fade to Black and they go, wait, this is heavy metal? It's like, yeah, it's musicians constructing it. Josh, I think you're a little bit older than myself. Do you remember your intro to Metallica?
My intro to Metallica, and I will say I love it because what got me into Metallica was Dave Mustaine. So I found Megadeth before I found Metallica. And when my first Metallica song was probably 1987, somewhere around 7th, 8th grade, somebody was like, you got to listen to this. It was Battery. The guitar starts and you're just like, all right, here we go. And as soon as the drums kick in, it's like, oh my God, I thought I knew music. I don't know music yet. So finding that in 1987 and then starting my freshman year in high school, Injustice for All was being released. I mean, basically right as school was starting. That album defined fucking high school.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so good. I mean, it's never going to go back like that. 10 guys in the back of a pickup truck. Nobody's worried about falling out the back. This is Texas in the late 80s, early 90s. You got 2 fucking speakers in the back of the truck. You know, the old homeschool fucking radio shit. So it's 300 watts in the back. You're playing Kill 'Em All, fucking pulling into the parking lot. Everybody knew you were the heads. You were the fucking stoners.
Yeah.
I don't know. Metallica was the shit. It was great.
Yes.
Well, I've got the different. So I'm a millennial. I was born in 1983. So in 1996, when Metallica released Load, I was 13 years of age, and my brother's 3 years older. He bought Load, and then he was playing it, and I'll never forget the song King Nothing. The song King Nothing grabbed me. I don't know. I liked that guitar. I liked the hook of the chorus. Where's your crown, King Nothing? Like it just. Yeah, I don't know. It just stood out to me, and then I just started listening. Until It Sleeps was before it. Hero of the Day was after it, and yeah, before I knew it, I listened to the whole album, and I was like, I like this band. And little did I know that stuff that I still love to this day. I do love the albums Load and Reload. A lot of people shit on them. I think they're great, but by nowhere near is any of that my favorite Metallica stuff. When I then went back and discovered what they did through the 80s, just phenomenal. Like it just changed the way I looked at the band from the beginnings of Load, from me hearing Load and then going back. Yeah, amazing stuff. I'll never forget buying Ride the Lightning and them opening up with that blimp, 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 and you're like, what the fuck is this? I thought this was Metallica. And then all of a sudden, like a punch into your face comes the opening to Fight Fire with Fire. You're like, oh, okay, game on. Like, yeah, this is fucking heavy metal. So yeah, I want to go through to each of you, which would be your favorite album and your criteria as to why it is your favorite album. Because of course, there's songs across all albums that we love to death. But let's start. I'm going to start with you, Scoop. What would be your favorite Metallica album?
Well, I want to point out. So for me, I talked about that dumb move I made, but the first time I actually like really got exposed to Metallica. I mean, I'd heard them on the radio or whatever, but like since it wasn't a genre I was focusing on, I didn't know like who that was. But my friend in high school learning how to play guitar, that was when I got exposed to it, because here he is like seek and destroy, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this? And then he's like, we should make a parody song. Yeah, Josh, it started back then. So I was already like fucking around with the lyrics like to these songs, and I had no idea, like I'm like messing like with the Bible of metal here, like these guys are way more than I even really understand. But that was where I really got first exposed to them, and that song Seek and Destroy will always be something for me. But when I think of like all the, I mean, God, it's really hard, right? Like I'm sure like for a lot of people picking any iconic song for an iconic band or singer, right? It's tough. Any Beatles, whatever, Beyonce, whatever, it's got to be pretty tough. But and then there's ones like maybe you would have chose at one point, but they got played a gazillion times. So like the Enter Sandman era and all that, it's just like I probably would have picked that back then, but now I've heard it a million times. I would probably have to go with the one that would piss everybody off, and I mentioned it before, but not a single song, but the Saint Anger album, because everybody said, oh, they changed it and it sounds like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but it sounds raw. And you know what? Like, I appreciate it. And especially as a singer, like you're always trying to not make your last thing sound like the next thing. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate that they went that route. So, it's like fucking around. Let's see what this does. So I'm choosing the Saint Anger album.
Good for you. Good for you. It's my least favorite album, but like it came out at an interesting time in my life. But I'll always have a standout favorite song from every album, and from that song, from that album, Some Kind of Monster. It's just so heavy. Like I just love that song. It's just heavy and in your face. Kaylee, what's your?
You know what the worst song on that album is, though? Fran tick 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 tick.
Oh
tick.
yeah,
Fuck that song, dude.
That's
Also,
yeah.
there is no album ever. I am glad, J Scoop, that you are not a drummer, because if you were a drummer and you said that that was your favorite album, how the hell do you make a snare drum sound like a goddamn tom?
Insane.
It's nonsensical. That album, I'm sorry, is trash.
Yeah, in the words of Hetfield, I'm just the idiot singer. So no drum, no musical prowess.
So fucking stupid.
No, there is a YouTube channel that's like recorded that with the drums properly, and like the songs do sound better. It's still not a good album, like it's not, like, but the songs do sound better. But Kaylee, for you, out of all their catalog, what stands out as a top album for you?
It is so hard for me to pick. So I have a special spot in my heart for Kill 'Em All, because it was actually recorded right here in Rochester, New York, where I am from. So actually all the WATP guys, Carl and producer Chris and Andy and Croge, we all live right down the road from where Kill 'Em All was recorded, which is amazing. There's lots of actually funny stories about Lars. I don't know how true this is, but like there's stories about Lars being in some secluded room to record drums, and he was like afraid, and so he had to have like people coming and like checking in on him because he was a giant pussy because he's Lars. But anyway, so that's up there. I think that the best musicianship is on Injustice for All. I think that that is a, like, through and through, that is the most musically successful album. But I think that the album that is perfect start to finish for me is probably Master of Puppets. I think it's the perfect opener, and I'm a sucker for a good opener, and it is just beautiful and complete and exciting. I just love it. I love it.
Yeah. Look, it's no one is gonna call you an idiot for saying Master of Puppets. And look, Josh, Josh, do you want, yeah. Josh, do you want me to go next, or do you want to take it now?
You can go next if you'd like, sir.
Can I ask you which album was Sad But True on?
Black.
The Black album.
The Black album.
Okay.
I like the Black album also. A
That
lot
was
of
the
people
one
shit on it.
I think
A lot of people shit on it, but I like it a lot.
No, I
that
think
was the
it's
one
great.
where I think I told you guys I didn't
Enter Sandman.
realize what the words were, and so I thought it was this depressive Sad Patrol song. Sad Patrol. We're sad.
Very good. Yeah, so all mine come from the 80s. Look, unfortunately, yeah, Injustice is the fourth for me in the 80s because and it's phenomenal, and like I love Harvest of Sorrow and Blackened, and yeah, it's a great album. But it's fourth in the 80s for me. Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets are like, they're both so great. Like in terms of Metallica, I think they're great storytellers, and those two albums tell some fucking stories. And yeah, for Whom the Bell Tolls, and it's for such young guys to get inspiration from these books and old movies and all that, where they create these amazing stories out of, which actually, going back to Justice, the one film clip where they added the Johnny Got His Gun clips in with it, that in itself is an amazing story told in what, an 8.5 minute video film clip. Just brilliant stuff. But I love both of those, but I am going to Kill 'Em All, Kaylee. I just think Metallica's a live act, and as much as I love their storytelling and everything, if you sat me down and said, which songs do you need to hear when you see Metallica live, I'm going to sit there and say, Hit the Lights, Four Horsemen, Motor Breath, Whiplash, Seek and Destroy, No Remorse. Like, I want to rock out to these songs. So yeah, if you're telling me live, I got to pick Kill 'Em All. It's got the most songs that I need to hear live. Go, Josh.
I'm with you as far as the 80s shit go, but it's Injustice for All and Ride the Lightning. I probably lean more towards Injustice just because it was during high school, but that album, I would say them, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd are the only guys that can do 10-minute songs, and I don't have a problem with that. 10 minutes is sometimes not enough. But Injustice for All is still relevant to today of what they speak on that album. I mean, that album is basically like 1984 in its own storytelling as it goes, what's happening today. Ride the Lightning, like you said, from the first track to the end to all that shit. I even told you, I love Trapped Under Ice. That's like one of my favorite freaking tracks. Nobody's playing that.
They never
shit.
play it.
No, they don't. But and the Call of Cthulhu, and then Orion. I mean, I didn't say Master of Puppets, but Orion is probably one song I play religiously from Metallica.
That's got to be one of the best songs.
It's a great solo. Solo.
Do you guys ever sit and wonder what Metallica would be if Cliff never died? And I love Jason. I'm a huge Jason Newsted fan. Like, I just thought he was like, he's so metal. You know what I mean? Like, he was the guy on stage representing metal. But Cliff Burton was a genius, and I think he did really direct those guys in a lot of ways.
Would they have gone to the Black Album, because that became like Bob Rock produced, I believe, the Black Album, and he's produced a lot of big albums for bands, kind of turned that sound around. Like, that was from Injustice for All to Black, when I considered it at that time. Everybody, like all the people that didn't like Metallica, started to like Metallica all of a sudden, because they're like, oh wow, nothing else matters, this is so great. And it was like this big fight on it and shit. Like, some people are like, oh, Metallica's not what they were. And I still say the Black Album is a really good album. It didn't change my feeling on it one bit. It just, the sound got produced and sounded, I don't know.
Well, I think it's easily their best produced album, for sure. The Black Album. Load and Reload are beautifully produced as well, but the Black Album just had such great songs, and but yeah, Kaylee, thoughts on basically thoughts on Cliff Burton is what I'm asking. Like, he was such a big part of their early magic.
He was so incredible. I don't know if you've ever heard the stories also about, I think it was when they were recording Ride the Lightning. Kirk was like, I don't know what notes to play for the solos. And so Cliff used to just tell him like, oh, play these notes. And so at some point when they were recording Ride the Lightning, he was like calling, like Cliff had already left the studio. And so Kirk was like calling him and being like, what should I do next? And I think that Cliff is the magic of Metallica. I don't think that there would have been a Metallica if it hadn't been for Cliff. I think that it's a complete tragedy that he passed, obviously. And I think that we can probably all agree that the worst Metallica bassist was Rob.
Well, you get poor old Ron McGovney could probably be thrown.
That's a good point. Yeah,
he was the original, and like he even understands it. Like, I've heard interviews with him; he's great about it. Like, he couldn't wait to get out of the band and let Cliff take over. Like, he's really cool about it. But no, you're right. And Rob's the longest serving bass player of Metallica, which is amazing. He's been in the band like 20 odd years at this point.
That's crazy. That's fucking crazy.
But yeah, like, it's, I mean, I think they put all the songs as written by Metallica these days. They don't do the individual writing credits. Poor old Jason only got 3 writing credits, but
I don't think the Black Album would be made if Cliff Burton was still there.
I agree with that.
I think it would have stayed really hard.
I will say, if Cliff had been around, it's possible that Metallica wouldn't have maintained their relevancy. I think that Cliff a lot of the time was kind of the logic behind them. And so I don't know if the Napster stuff would have happened. I don't know if they would have changed their sound. I don't know that I don't know that kids today would still love Metallica in the way that kids today love Metallica, in the way that we all loved Metallica. Like, I think that they have really found a way to completely defy generations. And I think that if Cliff had been around, he was a little too traditional maybe for that. That's just a feeling, but
didn't they have a member of the band die like in some auto accident, like really early in the?
It was Cliff in the bus accident.
That was
that's
Cliff?
That's the guy we've been talking about for the last 10 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said he had been in there 20 years or something.
Oh no, Rob has been in there 20 years. Cliff died in '86, so like it was like 5 years into the band, and
okay,
they
and that was like a bus accident, right, or something?
Yeah.
It's just amazing that Rob's been in there longer than Jason, and Jason was there for a while.
I think Jason went 15 years, something like that. Yeah.
Like that's crazy. We're talking about this, and like we're talking about a band that has not only been around for that long, but has completely maintained relevancy. We're talking about members who were part of a band for 15, 20 years. That's insanity. Like Metallica is something special. It is so special. Love them or hate them. Love their new shit or hate their new shit. Saint Anger is horrible. We're just going to say that one more time. But you have to respect the hell out of what they've done.
No, and they've done, and as much as I agree with you, the magic was there with Cliff, but you just can't deny the sheer volume of amazing guitar riffs and great arrangement, and then linking up with the San Francisco Symphony to just take it to another level of just like how beautifully written this music is. And like I think a lot of people miss that in the fact it's metal, so they don't think of like how actually beautifully structured it is, and that's what a lot of them in the San Francisco Symphony talked about. I was like, this music is so symphonic, and James would be like, yeah, I don't know, I just put my fingers here and went, but yeah, it is this brilliance that they had like creatively that it created this amazing music. So we have something that we're going to go do. I was going to say behind a paywall. There's no paywall. For our podcast feed, we're going to do a podcast only. This I'll probably upload it later to the YouTube channel as a video. But we're going to go record a reaction to Fade to Black. We're going to go listen to Fade to Black and react to it. So if you're not subscribed to the podcast feed, head on over to your favorite podcast app, subscribe to United States of Australia. This next segment will be shoehorned in to around about now. Kaylee, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. You're always a fantastic guest. Let everyone know where they can find Once Over with Kaylee, your Patreon, everything you do.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was a super, super fun time. I am always happy to talk about music or movies, so this was an honor. You can find me on YouTube at Once Over with Kaylee, which is Cayley. I do movie reviews over there. I review a little bit of everything. So coming up this week, I reviewed Saw 1, and I am going to be doing all of the Saw movies. Also coming up is It's Pat. So, there's a lot of variants. There's a lot of, we got a lot of stuff going on. Very exciting.
Saw 1, one of the few movies that made me feel like I had a physical reaction with the soaring of the ankle.
I thought you were going to say something about It's Pat, and I was like, "What happened?" To It's Pat?
I did too. I thought Aussie was going there.
Wait a minute, what's happening?
I got extremely nauseous, and you couldn't even see him sawing the ankle, but the thought of it and everything, like it was well shot to make me go, "This is fucking horrendous." I feel nauseous. But
there's a lot of magic in that movie, just like there is with Metallica. So you can also find me on Patreon, which is also Once Over with Kaylee, Cayley. And on my Patreon, I do popsicle reviews, and I just ate a garbage plate, which is a local Rochester food in lingerie. So there's lots of fun stuff over there as well.
Well, I have to sign up for that Patreon. Very nice.
I review on Patreon. I review anything that is sent to me in the Who Are These Podcasts mailbox. So if you ever want to see me review anything, you can send that over to Who Are These Podcasts, where I am a guest host sometimes.
I might get Robbie to take a nude photo and get you to review that.
Yes, I would totally do that.
Be kind.
Okay. I have to be honest though too.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you
I'm
can't
aware
lie
about my sponsors. I have to care about my sponsors.
Yeah, for sure. Shmuel Buckman's here. Shout out Shmuel. Shmuel just sent a donation to my PayPal. Thank you, buddy. He's done that a few times over the last few weeks. Always appreciate it. Kaylee's tearing up. Yes. She's loving that Metallica talk.
I love it. It's so fun.
And was that Mistress Meg? AC/DC next time. I'll talk AC/DC. I'm a Bon Scott era AC/DC man myself. So yeah, we can definitely talk AC/DC next time. Scoot, where can everyone find you and help you out?
Okay, well, on the I'm not saying the letter. It's Twitter. Okay, that's what it is. That's what it's gonna stay. At Jesse Creans, JESSECREAN. And if you want to help out with getting these first aid kits, help build these individual first aid kits for the people over here. Doesn't have to be about politics and money. Just save some lives over here. There's a lot of good people dying, and they would not die if they have a simple tourniquet that costs $30. You can help me at wanya25m@yahoo.com. You can put that in the PayPal. So that's WANYA25M as in Mike @yahoo.com.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
Good job, Scope. Yeah, help Scope out if you can. It helps innocent people. Don't worry about politics. It helps innocent people. Just Josh.
You can find me at NJHunt02 on Twitter, or you can find me here in Cincinnati somewhere trimming somebody's house. House. I said house. I said house. I said freaking house. I'm not trimming bushes.
Well, earlier on this evening my time, this morning US time, I did a show called What's Your Randall? It's a look back at the Ricky Gervais show on XFM and into the podcast day, their podcast days. I do that with Eckle Pineapple, and it's on his YouTube channel, Eckle Pineapple. Just imagine Eckle Pineapple and put a 3 where the last E should be. Yeah.
That's a much worse t-shirt. To steal your mojo.
That t-shirt's not as good, Ozzy.
Yeah. No, I know. I just I realized I could link it into my own catchphrase. But yeah, it's a 3. It's a 3 at the end of Eckle Pineapple instead of an E. I don't know why you had to do that, but I guess you had to do that. But yeah, what's your handle? Yeah, check it out. Give it a chance. We enjoy doing it, and we hope you enjoy watching it. Also, outside of that, just hit like and subscribe here, and help us get to 500. We're trying our best. Give us a chance. And head over to the podcast feed and subscribe over there on your favorite podcast app. Otherwise, on Twitter, I am at that sussy guy. Just imagine that Aussie guy and put an S where the A should be. We'll catch you next time on United States of Australia.
Seek and destroy.